Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hybe versus heejin saga. Yesterday, on June 12th, the Seoul Central District Court held the third hearing. Since there are two lawsuits happening at the same time, there's just so much information being dumped in a single day that I'm honestly tired of reading every new article about it. So this video is going to give you all the information in a brief and precise manner. There are two ongoing lawsuits. First, Hybe's lawsuit. They're asking the court to legally confirm that their contract with heejin is over. Second, heejin's lawsuit. She and two others are saying, we use the put option, a legal right to sell back shares, so Hybe needs to pay us. The court is now handling both cases together, hearing arguments from both sides at the same time to sort it all out. The first argument is about the infamous Kakao Talk messages. The court started with the second case, which is about ending the contract. The judge asked if both sides had finished presenting their arguments and discussed whether witnesses should be called and if a presentation, PT, should be shown in court. The judge also mentioned there might be issues with showing parts of the presentation publicly because it includes controversial content. The court is being cautious about what evidence can be shown, especially the presentation that includes sensitive Kakao Talk messages. Hybe wants to use those Kakao Talk chats as part of their argument. heejin's side argues that some of the Kakao Talk content Hybe wants to use wasn't properly submitted as evidence before, so it shouldn't count now. So what's in these Kakao Talk messages? Basically, there are chats with a shaman, a possible investor, and also with the former president of Ador, Mr. Lee, who also seem to be involved. The first set of messages includes ones where she talks about using Illit for media play and making Hybe weak so she could buy the company back from them. I've discussed this in detail in my previous video. In one message where she talks about weakening Hybe, she says, on Feb 4, 2024, 1 year before BTS returns from military service, this is when Hybe is at its weakest. We end Bang Si-hyuk at this time. It looks like they were scared of BTS. Even the shaman she was talking to told her, don't repeat like SM. BTS should end here. I'm determined every day. So that's likely the reason she didn't explicitly attack BTS through her media play, unlike what she did with Illit and even Lee Seraphim. There's another conversation with President Lee where he says he will do something before BTS comes back next year. Then first, I will finish planning my label by April and with Source Music. And I'll move forward without compromising my opinion. I assume she's referring to media play and attacks on Hybe and its groups until April. Because in another text message, she says, we are speeding up the plan. On 4:30, we will launch the attack. Since we'll go through a second round anyway, there's no reason to delay. Start the attack meanwhile we prepare for the media war. No intention of fixing the issue by April 20th. The goal, according to her, was to raise external issues. The best outcome, she said, would be if Hybe, in order to avoid major criticism, came to her with a compromise. There are also other messages where she's asking for 800 million won so she can buy newjeans from Hybe. In another message, she talks about meeting with a media agency and reporters for her media play. Another important set of text messages involves a company staff member, where she talks about the email that newjeans' parents reportedly sent to Hybe. At the court hearing, Hybe accused heejin of secretly writing a protest email and pretending it came from the parents of the newjeans members. This email asked for the group's contract to be terminated. While many thought the parents had written it themselves, Hybe now claims that Min told Ador staff to write it for them. Hybe gave a few examples to back this up. The email had specific legal language like contract termination clauses. It had a detailed list of recipients. It used the phrase "it's puzzling," which Min is known to use. Min allegedly gave direct orders like, send this to Danielle's mom and make it sound like Hyun's dad. Because of this, Hybe feels betrayed and believes they had every right to fire heejin from her CEO position. In another message, she talks about the risk of the Fair Trade Commission. As we mentioned in another video, heejin said she needed something big against Hybe to basically blackmail them into selling newjeans to her. Once again, she says the best thing Hybe could do is offer her a compromise to avoid a major disaster. Moving on from the Kakao Talk messages, Hybe stated that heejin broke her contract and should lose her rights as a shareholder. They explained that her job was to help Ador grow, but instead she secretly tried to take newjeans, the only group under Ador, for herself. Hybe claimed, Min tried to steal newjeans. We have proof from that time showing her plans. She got paid 2.7 billion won in 2024, yet was planning this behind our backs. Now she wants us to buy her shares for 27.8 billion won, based on the value of the company while she was working with us. If she breaks the contract, we have the right to take back her shares. In response, heejin's side said, we never tried to steal newjeans. Hybe filed the lawsuit in May and sent a contract termination notice in July. But even after that, newjeans still performed at the Tokyo Dome under Ador. Hybe is twisting private conversations and making up stories. They claim Min planned from the beginning to use Hybe's money to create her own idol group and break away. But if that's true, are they saying she somehow knew about newjeans and other trainees as far back as 2019? That doesn't make sense. Sakura from Lesser FM was mentioned in Min Heejin's team's response to mock Hybe's logic. They were criticizing Hybe's claim that Min had secretly planned to form her own girl group and make it independent from the very start. They also added, accusations like Elite copying newjeans weren't something we expected or planned for. Her team also claims that the copying of newjeans by other groups wasn't part of any secret plan. It just happened. After Min Heejin stepped down as a board director at Adore in November 2024, she told Hybe that she was exercising her put option, a right in her contract, to sell her shares back to Hybe. According to her contract, this put option meant Hybe would have to pay her an amount based on 75% of Adore's valuation, calculated as 13 times the company's average profits over the past 2 years. Min owns 18% of Adore, which equals about 573,160 shares. Based on this formula, she could get around 26 billion won. Min Heejin used Adore's profits from 2022 and 2023 to calculate the value of her shares. In 2022, Adore recorded a loss of around 2.95 million USD, likely because newjeans had just debuted in July of that year. But in 2023, the company made a huge profit, about $24.7 million. Since Min owns 18% of Adore, she believes she deserves around 26 billion won, about $19 million USD, if she sells her shares through the put option. Hybe pushed back saying, Min already got 2.7 billion won, about $2 million USD in salary last year. But even while being paid that much, she tried to take newjeans away from Adore and hurt the company's value. They also claimed she's acting like she's still part of Adore when calculating her share value, but she violated the contract, which means her right to sell, the put option, is no longer valid. Instead, we have the right to take back the shares, the call option. Hybe doesn't want to pay, saying Min violated the agreement, so it's no longer valid. Min Heejin criticized Hybe, saying, what Hybe did in 2024 was one of the worst things in K-pop history. And one person's evil actions shouldn't damage the natural balance of karma. It was seriously wrong. Meanwhile, at the second court hearing about Hybe's lawsuit to end the shareholder agreement, the judge asked both sides to clarify their stance on the put option issue. Min Heejin's side explained, they're waiting for the court's decision. This legal fight is about two different things. Hybe's lawsuit, asking the court to confirm that the shareholder contract with Min is over. Min's lawsuit, she's demanding payment from Hybe for exercising the put option, assuming the contract was still valid at that time. They said the two lawsuits involve different sides and different people. In Min's lawsuit, there's actually one more plaintiff involved. They clarified the situation. 1. Hybe first claimed Min broke the contract, so they ended it. 2. Min argued the contract was still valid at the time and used her put option to sell back her shares. Later, Min also agreed the contract should be terminated, but for different reasons, because of Hybe's actions. 4. So both sides want the contract terminated, but they disagree on when and why it ended. The timing is very important because if the contract was still valid when Min used the put option, Hybe may still owe her money. Hybe said, Min Heejin cared more about herself than newjeans. We have evidence to prove she tried to take the group. If she didn't do it, she should explain why our evidence is wrong. The only reason we can't show it publicly is because it's sensitive. They are strongly saying, she clearly tried to steal newjeans. Hybe wants one witness to testify at the next hearing. Min Heejin's team did not request any witnesses. The next hearing with witness examination is scheduled for September 11th. If I miss anything, do mention in the comment section below. And subscribe to my channel for future updates.